Well, let me tell you something, brother. This might be the best OG Kush I've ever had. Ooh. Ooh, yeah. You just said a mouthful, brother. I'm higher than helicopter, but listen though, Hulkster. YoungLurch has been running his mouth on that podcast. BlazeTheBingoHall Podcast needs to show some respect to the veterans, brother. I say we run in there and show YoungLurch and his guest just exactly who the OGs of this game are, What you gonna do, BlazeTheBingoHall Podcast, when the Macho Man and the Hulkster run wild on you? Ooh, yeah. Give me like 10 minutes, though, because I'm really, really stoned. Oh, yeah.
Welcome into Blaze the Bingo Hall for another exciting episode. I am your host with the most, YoungLurch. Today, we are joined by the most infamous West Coast deathmatch wrestler, some might say, Mr. California. Mr. California, thank you for joining us on Blaze the Bingo Hall today.
Oh, snap. Thank you, brother, for having me on.
No problem, man. No problem. We've had some technical difficulties. This was supposed to be live. You know, YoungLurch couldn't quite figure it out. We had some issues, but you know what? We're going to make it happen. My first question was, how's it feel to be the first guest live here on the show? But we couldn't make it work. So you can. I'll take all the heat for that, man.
Oh, it happens, man. That was perfect. You know what I mean?
Yeah, shit happens, man. So we'll make it work. But yeah, I appreciate you for stopping by, and we're going to get right into it. So you've been called everything from West Coast legend to most hated man in deathmatch. Which one do you think fits you best?
Well, I mean, you know what? If I can, I'd like to give a shout out to my buddy Chris Claus, a Hall of Famer, a legend, and from XPW original. He told me once, you know what I mean? He told me good publicity or bad publicity doesn't matter as long as they're talking about you. It's what it is. When they stop talking about you is when you gotta get scared. You know what I mean? So I take both of them. You know what I mean? I take both of them. I appreciate both of them.
Yeah. Controversy creates cash, right?
Right.
Yeah. So who was Mr. California before wrestling?
Who was Mr. California for wrestling?
Yes.
Well, my shoot name, man, my government name, man. My government name is, I don't like to say it, but, you know, I like to keep kayfabe, but, you know, we can work that out. My government name is Marvin Mercado. You know, I always been, you know, like what you call a family man. I got a wife, I got kids, and working a basic job, like a warehouse job, you know what I mean? Different jobs, trades. But I always like professional wrestling, you know what I mean? Like everybody, maybe like yourself, you know what I mean? I always like wrestling. I always been into it. You know what I mean? I think I've been lucky to say I've been doing this for 24 years now, you know what I mean? A long time I've been doing it. You know, I wrestled in different states, different countries. I've done, you know, I wrestled the who's of the deathmatch world too. You know what I mean? Big names. You know, one of them, of course, rest in peace, is Sabu. I wrestled Sabu maybe like 2-3 years ago before, you know, he passed away. You know what I mean? He was a good guy. I actually have trained with him in XPW because I'm originally XPW student from the Asylum. You know what I mean? That was the premier wrestling school of XPW. You know what I mean? But my full trainer was another one, rest in peace. So Mr. 80's Dynamite D. Real name Darren McMillan. I mean, he was the guy that taught me everything. You know what I mean? Believed in me and never gave up on me. You know what I'm saying? So he used to tell me every time, he's like, "You're gonna be somebody. So you just need to keep pushing this, and I'm gonna show you the way. After that, I'm gonna cut your wings, and you do what you got to do." You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. So when you first discovered wrestling, was it on TV? Was it going to shows as a kid, or I guess a combination of both?
No, actually, I was about maybe like, you know, true story, maybe about 3-4 years old, and I have an aunt that used to like wrestling. You know what I mean? Used to like Mexican wrestling and American wrestling. So she's the one who put a television in front of me, and I saw these giants. You know what I mean? Like Andre the Giant, of course, Hulk Hogan. You know, Macho Man, Jake the Snake Roberts, stuff like that. You know what I mean? And I would just see these big Goliath men, going at it, doing crazy stuff. And I didn't know what it was. I was a kid, you know what I mean? But I mean, I fell in love with it, you know what I'm saying? And then as I got older, when I got into, junior high, high school, I got more into it and fell more in love into it, you know what I mean?
So when you first broke into the wrestling scene, did you initially know that you wanted to get into deathmatch, or is it, just you just wanted to be into into wrestling just in general?
No, I mean, of course, I started watching WWE. I mean, well, back in the days, WWF. You know what I mean? And I used to first watch WCW. Because the legendary Monday Night Wars. You know what I mean? And after that, I started I was like, I was like, I ran into ECW. ECW, Extreme Championship Wrestling. You had a guy here in the past, Just Incredible. You know what I mean? He I still watch. I started watching ECW, like people like Chris Sabu. I mean, Taz. The Dudley Boys. I mean, New Jack that I've been in the ring with too. Mustafa Saeed. People like that. And then I was like, man, but they did it to the extreme, right? Then after that, I saw another company called, was owned by, created by John Zandick that I know well. And I saw that they started doing more like light tubes, barbed wire baseball bats, barbed wire boards. I mean, like glass, weed whackers. They introduced the weed whackers to the States. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Then after that, I was like, I wish there was a company like that out here. And then behold, here comes XPW. You know what I mean? And I was amazed. Rob Black, who created, the founder of XPW. You know what I mean? I started watching it when there were XPW TV, on KGLA, late night around 1, 2 in the morning. I used to watch it. I fell in love with it, and then I liked it. And then when I saw Chris Kloss come out, a good friend of mine is Chris Kloss. Another shout out to Chris Kloss. I saw a commercial he made. He's all, hey, hey, you right there, on the couch. You want to be a professional wrestler? Drop that Oreo cake, drop that soda, drop those chips, and come to the asylum and prove yourself as a professional wrestler and join XPW. And that's how it happened, brother. I took the vow to join, and the rest is history. You know what I mean? It was crazy.
Do you remember what age that was?
Yeah, I was 17 years old.
Wow.
I was 17, but I remember calling the number, and then I was talking to. That wasn't Kevin Kleinrock. It was a guy. What is his name? But what do you call it? He patched me to Dynamite D, the trainer. He was a head trainer. So then I talked to D, and I told D, I was still a senior in high school. I was about to turn 18. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And he told me, well, yeah, you can join the school, but you need your parents' signature, and you need one of your parents here with you till you turn 18 physically. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then that's how it happened. But I started at 17. You know what I mean? Training.
Was there any, I guess, pushback from your parents when you wanted to become a wrestler? When they
No, not really. Okay. No, not really, because my mom and my dad were supportive. Because I remember when they told me, when I was getting close to, when I was in my senior year and I was getting close to 18, so what are you going to do? You're going to continue going to college? You're going to get a job? What are you going to do? And I was like, I want to be a professional wrestler. And then they kind of laughed at first, but like, is that what you know what I mean? Is that what you want, son? Go for it. You know what I mean? And they were behind me. You know what I mean? They laughed, but then after that, they were behind me. There were parents that actually didn't tell me, didn't put me down and go like, what are you doing? You know what I mean? No, they pushed me and they supported me. That was really cool.
Yeah, it's good to have that support system.
Yeah, because a lot of people don't have that these days. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they might try to just kind of shit on you, or try to change your mind to say, hey, do something more secure or more stable or something like that.
Yeah, or they'll make fun of you, or they'll laugh. They're like, really, you want to do that fucking thing? That's not even real. You know what I mean? Or they'll make some bullshit up. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's the same thing. It's like, well, you watch movies, right? Well, they're not real either.
Yeah. No, exactly. Yeah.
So, what was your first deathmatch experience like, and when did you realize that it wasn't just a gimmick and it was more of a calling for you?
I debuted back in like 2001. You know what I mean? It was a long time ago for a company called SCWA, and it was run by a guy named Vince. Not Vince McMahon. Vince.
Yeah.
A guy. Now. It was an independent guy that started a little company, a little independent company out here in Southern California. And I was trained in the school, you know what I'm saying? And then he reached out to me and he said, "Hey, because I know him from back in the days. When he was just a fan, and he told me, hey, I'm having a show. Would you like to come?" And so I went. But see the funny story. I said another podcast before. I was still training at PW Asylum. You know what I'm saying? So then I went over there and I made my debut in a regular match. You know what I mean? And it's funny, trippy story. The match was 1-on-1 against Scorpion Sky Andrews, formerly AEW superstar. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So me and Sky were 1-on-1, and I knew Sky for a long time. Sky, and we had a good match, but it was a regular match. Then the other show, and then that's when I had my first death. But it was like more like a hardcore death match, not more into the hardcore. But there wasn't really no glass. There was thumbtacks. There was barbed wire. You know what I mean? Barbed wire baseball bat. I remember. And then that was my first death match. I was like close to almost 2002. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And after that, I loved it. I loved the blood coming down my face. You know what I mean? I enjoyed I like the people will turn their face the other way. They were like kind of like they were cringing. You know what I mean? And that made me feel like, huh?
I was saying grossed out or whatever.
Yeah. They're like, when you see something gruesome and you turn your face like that, you know what I mean? You're like, oh no, I don't want to see that. You know what I mean? And that got my attention and more realistic and more people were like, oh man, I don't know about all that. You know what I mean? So that got my attention. That got into me, and I started with it even more.
Yeah, I guess it was kind of like you were addicted. I guess from that point, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Like people, addicted to drugs, addicted to sex, or addicted to like coffee, etc. Exactly like that.
Yeah. Did you receive like any pushback from your trainers at that time for still being under their wing but going to a different promotion?
Yeah, exactly. Like I said it in a podcast, like on Chris Cross's podcast, and I said it in several other podcasts. The funny story about it is like they found out. Rob Black found out. Kevin Kleinrock found out. Rob Black was the owner. Kevin Kleinrock was the VIP, the vice president of operations for XPW. So I don't know. There's different message boards, different websites. So there was there's still around the website, but the website is real toxic and real negative. You know what I'm saying? I don't like the website. A lot of workers don't like it either. The website is called SoCal Uncensored. It's a local California. They all independent wrestling shows. You know what I mean? And it covers wrestlers. And in reality, it's supposed to help the promotions and the wrestlers. You know what I mean? But they don't do none of that. They dog you. They put you down. They criticize you. The whole shebang. You know what I'm saying? They're just a toxic website, and it's still around. It's funny because it's a bunch of nerds that they hide behind screen names and behind keyboards, and they just talk smack and they hide their faces, and they actually go to shows. They go to shows.
Does anybody know who runs it? Yeah.
Yeah, I know who. I found out who his name was SoCal Steve. I actually found out, and I actually saw him at our show one time. And the funny story about it, he saw me coming at him, and right away he got up. He's like, "I know what you're trying to do. I know what you're coming for. You're trying to beat me up." I was like, "Exactly, that's what I'm gonna do." So he ran the other way, man. You know what I mean? He took out behind the doors. You know what I mean? But someone told me who he was. I didn't know who he was at first. You know what I mean? I never knew who he was. So someone told me, he's like, "Hey, see that guy over there, that heavy set white guy?" I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "That's SoCal Steve. That's the guy who created SoCal Uncensored." Really, mom? Oh, let me go talk to him. And he knew exactly who I was. So when he saw me approaching him, he got up, and his eyes got real big. You know what I mean? Like he saw like a deer, or headlights. You know what I mean? And he's like, "Oh, hey, Mr. California, stop right there. I know what you're trying to do." And then, yeah, brother, he just ran the other way. He just ran the other way. He did, and it's funny because he paid a ticket for the show. He didn't watch it. He just took off. He bounced.
He tried
Never
to
saw
come
him
there.
again.
He tried to come there incognito, and then he got outed, and then he had to hit the road.
Yeah, well, because you know how it goes. What comes around goes around. One day you're gonna get caught and find people are gonna find you who you are. You know what I mean? It happens.
It's a common thing, especially nowadays, that these keyboard warriors they run their mouth, and then when reality meets them right to their face, they don't know how to act because they're not hiding behind a keyboard anymore. So it's like, what happens then?
I mean, it's funny because they're fans and they want to go to the show and they criticize people, and then they're over there paying a ticket and watching you, wrestle. Yeah. That's funny. Yeah. I mean, that's dumb. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Most times that's how a lot of these people are.
Yeah. So back to the story. So then that website used to give the results of the shows. You know what I'm saying? So that show that I did got the results. I was on it when it says Mr. California, beat Scorpion Sky, blah blah blah. Give the results. You know what I'm saying? And the rest of the card. You know what I mean? And so then Kevin Kleinrock is the guy that sees everything. You know what I'm saying? So he saw the website because they used to put up stuff. XPW used to put stuff up there to advertise the events. You know what I mean? So I guess he went to the message boards and he saw my name and he heard the name around the school. You know what I mean? Because all the wrestlers will have our gimmick names. You know what I mean? So he's like, Mr. California, I know that name. Who is that? I know that name. And then he went to Rob Black and he showed him the results. Hey, that's the guy Marvin, the guy, one of the students here. You know what I mean? So then he went we did our. I believe it was maybe a Wednesday or Thursday night, and we were in North Hollywood and we were training, and the school, the class ended. So then my trainer comes up to me and he puts his hand in my hair. He's like, "Hey, hold back, okay? Don't want to talk to you." I was like, "Who wants to talk to me?" "Oh, Rob and Kevin." I was thinking, oh, maybe I'm gonna get a contract or something. Maybe they're gonna push me or something. And I was excited. So then then I see Rob Black coming out through the door. You know what I mean? And then here comes Kevin with a piece of paper in his hand. He comes up and he goes, "Hey, come here." He's like, "Can you read this?" He's like, "Yeah." And I like that guy Steve, I was like, like a deer with headlights, Oh, damn, And then you're Mr. California, right? That's your gimmick name, correct? Yes, it is, sir. It is. He's all, and then XPW was on Dark Side of the Ring, right? You seen that episode, right? So Rob Black's notorious, to be like a mafia guy, and that's how he did his business. You know what I mean? So then he tells me, he looks at me, so you're Mr. California, correct? I was like, yeah, that's me. That's my gimmick name. That's gonna be my gimmick name. He's like, do you know that you belong to us, right? And I was like, I don't belong to you, man. I pay you a fee to train here, and my goal is to try to be part of this company. You know what I mean? I'm paying my dues. I pass out flyers, put up rings and breakdown rings. You know what I mean? That's paying dues business. And then he's like, well, no, you belong to us because you signed a contract. Yeah, I did sign a contract for the school. And I guess in the fine print, it said that I was exclusive, that I couldn't wrestle for no company, and I was training. And in the end of my training, when I graduated, I was going to get a contract with XPW. That it actually did say on the print, but I guess I didn't read it. You know what I mean? Mm. So then after that, Chaos, Supreme, the Messiah, they walked into the ring. You know what I mean? And then Dynamite D, he was shaking his head like, oh, I can't believe this what's about to something's gonna happen. You know what I mean? So he's like, well, you know what's gonna happen now, right? As soon as Rob Black said that, I turned this way, and then Chaos went boom. He punched me in the face, right? And then Supreme hits me with a chair. Messiah grabs me, throws me outside. They start pounding me, kicking me, hitting me. Yeah, and then next thing you know, they take me to the alley. There was a bunch of pallets, and then they Supreme picks me up and power bombs me through the thing. That's it, buddy. You got your receipt. Damn. Don't ever do it again. Don't ever do it again. That was it. You know what I mean?
And
I was like,
you guys were cool after that?
yeah. He said, Rob Black said, we're good now. Just don't ever do that again. And I never did it again until I graduated from the school. And funny because one of the last shows before Rob Black went to jail, you know what I mean? You know, he it was at a paper arena, and I think it was in the city of Van Nuys, California. And I was the only student that showed up. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And every other student left because they weren't getting contracts. They were getting fed up. They were just paying their dues, and they were getting nowhere. You know what I mean? So they completed their session. You know, their schooling. They graduated, and then they had the training, so they started looking for work, and then they put the scene. You know what I mean? And some of them got it, some of them didn't. You know what I mean? Because like XPW had a bad rep. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So then it's funny. Check it out, because so then they sent me to go buy some stuff at Home Depot. Kevin gave me the money and everything, and then next I got lost. You know what I mean? I got lost. I couldn't find. I got back late. Rob Black was pissed. He was mad. What the hell is this fucking guy? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then I remember a wrestler comes up to me and tells me, "Hey man, they have a contract for you, brother, because you're the only wrestler they showed up. They're gonna give you a contract." And I was like, and next thing you know, Rob Black goes to jail and XPW closes, and there goes my chance. You know what I mean?
Timing. It's crazy how things like that work, right?
Yeah, because I went to jail, right? The first time, right? Oh, one time only he went to jail. He was mailing porn through the mail,
Yeah.
and that's federal. You know what I mean?
Federal, yeah.
Yeah, so FBI walked in and got him, and they raided him. They took him in. They took him and his ex-wife Lizzie Borden, and that was it.
Damn. So let's talk about XWW. It survived controversy for years. What keeps you fighting to keep that promotion alive?
When XPW died. When XPW died, there was really no death matches out here in Southern California besides a company called UEW that I wrestled for in the past too. But then they're gone too. And another company came around named Crimson Crown. They had different names, but they're up and down too. And when XPW died, I was like, man, there's really no death matches out here. There really no one's doing anything. So I got a hold of Chris Kloss and we started talking. And I was like, hey, what do you think? I should create this company, blah, blah. And he said, hey, man, you should do it. And I was like, but let's come up with a name. And he helped me. And Chris Kloss helped me. I had to thank him for that. And he's like, well, you were from XPW and you were a student from there. I can just don't name it XWW. Take the P away, And so I said, you know what? That's funny. And then that's what got me the thing, because XWW stands for Extreme World Wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So that's why I bring different guys, different deathmatch guys, or different wrestlers from different parts of the world. You know what I mean? We try. You know what I mean? Different states, from different countries too. And that's how I started. And then we called. I remember the first show we did was in like 2003, and then it was right after XPW died. And I remember doing a benefit show for a friend. He had cancer. We wanted to build some money up for him. I remember I called D. I called Chaos. I had called Supreme too, but Supreme had he was like not sick, but he had something happen with him that he couldn't make it. And then the match was originally supposed to be me and him, and the main event, a death match, didn't happen because he couldn't come. He had some stuff happen. I don't know, it was a family or something. And then I wrestled D and Chaos in the death match. D give me a death match, and he really didn't do those matches. You know what I'm saying? Chaos did, but they did it. You know what I mean? And I appreciate and respect them for that. Rest in peace, Dynamite D. And a big props to Chaos too, running his school out here. And but they gave me a death match, and I respect them for that. You know what I mean? One of the first shows that I had.
So you felt like once XPW closed their doors, it was kind of your responsibility to kind of pick up the torch and keep it going for the deathmatch scene in your area, right?
But it wasn't really like you said. Everything wasn't my responsibility. It wasn't my responsibility, but I took it. You know what I mean? I ran the ball with it. You know what I mean? I did it, and when no one else was doing it, you know what I mean? And then the first big name outside deathmatch wrestler I brought in was Corporal Robinson. Corporal Robinson is kind of like a mentor to me because he taught me a lot. When I was young, I was like 19, 20 when I wrestled him. You know what I mean? And he was already a seasoned veteran. You know what I mean? Of the game with IWM itself with Ian Rodden. You know what I mean? And he helped me out a lot. He molded me a lot and taught me a lot of things. And he was the first one I brought in from the Mid South. From Kentucky, from Chicago. I brought him where you're at, West Virginia area, the Midwest. I brought him in, and after that, I brought in Too Tough Tony, another good friend of mine, current Juggalo Championship Wrestling champion right now. Big props to Tony, he's a brother. And I brought him, and then after that, people started following after him. I'm Mr. Insanity, Toby Klein, Sexy Eddie. Rest in peace. So to me, the greatest deathmatch wrestler of all time, J.C. Bailey. J.C. Bailey, me and him had some great matches, man. I think me and him, we did one of the first ones to do a House of Horrors barefooted deathmatch. You know what I mean? So that's when he took it with Thumbtack Jack and Combat Zone Wrestling, the syringe in the foot. But then right after he came with me and did it with me. But I was the first deathmatch wrestler out here in the West Coast to do barefooted thumbtacks, light tubes, cinder blocks, cactus, and the syringes. And we did it out here. I was the first one to do it out here. And then I remember sticking that syringe in his bare feet, and it went through his arch. You know what I mean? And that match is up on YouTube. And then we're talking about years, man. But it was like, it was crazy, man. That match is what was one that elevated my career, got me noticed. Because JC was a guy that will take anything. He was crazy, man. And he was just fresh out of jail. He just came out of jail and he reached out to me and he told me, hey, man, I'm ready to come back. Whenever you have a chance, bring me back. And I said, yeah. And we had a lot of matches, me and JC, man. JC was a brother to me, man. He was like my little brother, and I took care of him, and he helped me out. I molded him and I helped him too. You know what I mean? He grew up a lot with me. You know what I mean?
Was he local to you out there?
Is he what?
Was he local to you out that way?
No, I used to fly him in.
Okay.
I will fly him in. He was from Barstow, Kentucky. He lived in Kentucky.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know you mentioned, some names already, but you faced, some of the toughest names in ultraviolet wrestling. Who's given you the biggest fight?
Tim. JC Bailey. Okay. JC Bailey, but I also been in the ring with Drake Younger. I've been in the ring with Masada. I've been in the ring with Nick Gage. I've been in the ring with Necro Butcher, Man Pondo. All those big names. It's like I think Corporal was a tough one. But to me, all around, and I always will say it, any podcast, I'll say it on your podcast, I say it on Class, and any podcast I've ever been, J.C. Bailey was my greatest deathmatch and my greatest deathmatch opponent forever. You know what I mean? Nice. He made me what I am today. You know what I mean? And he did spots that no people will do. You know what I mean? That will trip me out. You know what I mean? Now, the only person I think that will do it was Ju Kasai, you know what I mean? But American-wise, J.C. Bailey was one of the most craziest, you know what I mean?
He was your Flair to your Steamboat or Steamboat to your Flair, right?
Yeah. Hulk Hogan to Andre the Giant, you know what I mean?
Hell yeah. So, promoters and wrestlers, and I'm going to name some names here, like Paul London and promoters like Brett Lauderdale, they've had unkind things to say about you publicly. How do you respond when? Yeah. How do you respond?
What do they say about me?
I mean, Paul London, he was recently just on Renee Dupree's podcast, and he kind of like, I don't know, he just kind of brushes you off, and like you know what I mean? Like he doesn't think too highly of you.
Paul London, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
And Brett Lauderdale, he openly says things about you as well. So, how do you respond to some of these like respected voices in the community, that throw shade your way?
Yeah, but see, like you said, they fucking know who I am. You know what I mean? Ain't that funny? That's funny because like we said when we opened the podcast, like Chris Cross said, like me or hate me, you know who I am. So I made an impact in your life. You know what I'm saying? To know me, it's like, yeah, it's like Joey Ryan's. You know what I mean? A lot of people don't like Joey Ryan's, but hey, the guy's known and he's done a lot of crazy shit. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, not deathmatch wise, but with the dick spot and all that crap. And I know Joey. I've been in the ring with Joey. You know what I mean? So. And a lot of people don't like him, but the guy's over. And you know who Joey Ryan's is, like him or hate him, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, my response to Bray Lauderdale, I know he was a punk referee. You know what I mean? He was a mark first for John Zandig. Then he was a referee for Combat Zone. I mean, his company is huge, a lot of success, and I gotta respect that for him, you know what I mean? But besides that, I can care less about him, and I'll tell him to his face, you know what I mean? And Paul London, you know what I mean? He's a great wrestler, you know what I mean? He former tag team champion out here, him in WWE with Spanky, you know what I mean? And stuff like that. But if he has something to say, he can say it to my face, you know what I mean? But I care less about him either. But his talent I respect, you know what I mean? But I care less about him, you know what I mean?
For sure. Do you think guys like London and Lauderdale sort of like misunderstand your vision, or are they just like uncomfortable like with how far you sort of push the limits sometimes?
Maybe, yeah, that's what it is. You know what I mean? I mean, Lauderdale does deathmatch. He stopped a lot, you know what I mean? But he does death matches. His company does that's how he started. With Tournament of Survival, and it's the Nick Gage Invitational, you know what I mean? So he shouldn't so much be of a hypocrite, you know what I mean? That's being a hypocrite, you know what I mean? So, but he can say whatever he wants. He's a grown ass man. This is America. He can say whatever he wants. I can say whatever I want about him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, his opinion.
Some critics say that you book yourself as the top guy. Others say that you're the only one willing to bleed for the scene. Where's the truth in that?
Let me tell you something right now, brother. What promoter in California, in the Midwest, the East Coast, don't book itself in the main event these days? You know what I mean? A lot of promoters do. I mean, I work for promoters that book themselves in main events all the time, and I don't say nothing. That's their promotion. You know what I mean? But they also, that's their opinions. You know what I mean? People will say that, but then also a lot of people don't do what I do. Like, they get good color or blood or whatever. You know what I mean? And people, I mean, there's people that they'll say like, "Hey man, Mr. California is one crazy SOB." You know what I mean? Or they'll say and I've been defended for a lot of wrestlers that I know. They go, "Oh, Mr. California doesn't know how to wrestle. That's why he does the violence. That's why he does the blood, the ultra violence." But brother, they're wrong, because I got trained by Dynamite D, the greatest trainer out here in Southern California, and I know how to wrestle. I wrestle with guys, the lucha guys, American guys, and I, besides my company and other whoever is supposed to be books me in death matches, I just do, for other promotions, I just wrestle. I do regular wrestling. I do, lucha libre, and I also do American style, strong style.
Do you think that that's something that people like, I guess they try to look past sometimes because they just try to like chalk you up as just like you said, like a crazy deathmatch guy, and that's it? Like,
yeah, all the time. They go like, "Oh, he doesn't know how to wrestle," and then when they see me wrestle, like they're like, "Wow, you know what I mean? This guy actually can wrestle." You know what I mean? Why is he put his body on the line? He doesn't need to do that. But I mean, they're wrong. I do it because I love deathmatch wrestling.
Yeah.
And I can wrestle. You know what I mean? I can throw a lockup. I can throw a freaking arm drag. I can throw a freaking hip toss. You know what I mean? Because I got trained by Dynamite D. He trained me. And he taught me well, you know what I mean? I could do a sunset flip, I could do what Cody Rhodes does. I could do a freaking cutter or Will Ospreay, you know what I mean? But I choose not to sometimes, you know what I mean? Because I like doing the violence. I like doing the blood because it's more realistic, more crazy, you know what I mean?
Hell yeah. So now let's talk about the 1,000 syringe match with the body.
Well, let me show you.
Okay.
Let me show you.
Oh, I got it. I'll put. Okay, you show us. I'm gonna pull it up for us too. Yeah.
Put it up.
Who came up with it and what makes it historic? So let me go ahead and pull that up.
Go ahead, brother.
We got that
All right.
one.
There you go. Thank you, brother. That's good shit,
Yeah,
man.
And we got
There
this
you go.
one.
I like it.
Yeah.
There it is. There it is. Well, you know what's funny? Because what's that company? His name SVN. Is that the name of the company? Am I saying it right?
Yeah,
The one that
SVN.
the one that did the 1,000 skinny light tube deathmatch, right?
I think it was SVN or it might have been RPW. I don't know which one it was, but
I think they're both together. No.
Yeah. They. I mix them up, so I know that it was either one of those two.
Okay, so I saw those two England boys, the Iceman, and his son. They came up with the concept of I saw 444 light tubes from freaking Abdullah Kobayashi and Ryo Ito in Big Japan. That was like one of the tops, you know what I mean? And light tubes. But then they came with the concept of doing 1,000 skinny light tubes, not regular tubes, skinny light tubes. You know what I mean? So then I was like, you know what? I was the first guy to do the Syringe death match on the West Coast. You know what I mean? With JC. You know what I mean? And I was like, you know what? I'm controversial, like you said. People don't like me. Some people do like me. You know what I mean? And I looked around. Who else is controversial in this world? But the body. No one likes the body, brother. No one likes the body. You know what I mean? But he's a good wrestler. The guy can wrestle. You know what I mean? He's from Canada. You know what I mean? But he can wrestle. You know what I mean? And he gets down with the sickness. You know what I mean? So I said, if you know his story, the body. He talked about another guy that I don't like, and Danny Demento, like he cared less about the guy. He talked about his referee. I mean, I think he went a little bit too far, but the referee that passed away, what was his name? ROP or something? Or I don't know. What was his name?
SPO.
Oh, I'm sorry, SPO. Yeah. Did you hear about the body saying a comment about that?
So I know that that's why he has a lot of heat, but I don't know exactly what he said.
He told me, but I kind of forgot. He told me, and then that's what caught heat. You know what I mean? And then he just went, and then him doing the infamous penis spot syringe and XPW. You know what I mean, with Big F and Joe. You know he did that spot now. You know what I mean? Real viral. You know what I mean? So I said, someone like him, someone like me, you put them together, you mix them up, and you add 1,000 syringes. That's it, brother. That's money. You know what I mean? Money, brother. That's you have people like Brett Lauderdale. You have people like John Zanuck coming out of his graveyard. You have Rob Black, brother. No, all these promotions. You know what I mean? Ian Rodden. You know what I mean? Kevin Brandon for IWD. All these promotions never done this match and never touched this match. So, and then you have someone like Mr. California, the body, and we're gonna do it. It's gonna rock the deathmatch community, man. Like me or not, or like him or not. You know what I mean?
First time ever.
First time ever, brother. Never been done. Never will be done. Only if someone does 101. You know what I mean? I saw 1,001. You know what I mean?
So the body, he's been, I guess, talking a little bit of trash online. He was supposed to join us today, but he said that you weren't worth his time. So he says that you're kind of living off of shock value and old scars. What do you have to say about that?
That's what he said.
Hey,
man, the kid is to me is a JC Bailey and an Adam Bueller that I wrestle both in ripoff. You know what I mean? He's a skinny deathmatch kid from Canada that I'm gonna mop the floor with him. You know what I mean? And I'm just gonna use him as a stepping stone, like I have used every deathmatch guy that I've been in the ring with. You know what I mean? So I beat the who's of the deathmatch scene. Put my resume up. I beat a lot of names. You name it: Masada, Nick Gage, freaking JC Bailey, rest in peace. So Adam Bueller, another guy, rest in peace. So Too Tough Tony, Corporal Robinson, Sexy Eddie, Necro Butcher, Madman, all these guys, Man Pony. You put them down the list. You know what I mean? And even guys that from the West Coast. You know what I mean? Andre Verdun, I have respect for. Carnage. I have respect for BC Killer. I beat those guys too. You know what I mean? But I respect because they're from out here from following from the West Coast, and a lot of people oversee them. You know what I mean? And I think they're talent that should be used in other places, and they don't use them. That's messed up. You know what I mean?
Do you think that the body is? You think that he deserves to share the ring with you?
I mean, I respect the body. You know what I mean? I respect the body as an athlete because the guy can wrestle and he can take a beating. But I think what we're going to do November 22nd is going to be magic. You know what I mean? If he plays his cards right and he stops talking shit, we're going to have a great historic match. But if he doesn't, then it's going to be, I'm going to bag him and tag him and send him back to Canada. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I know, like you said, he's another controversial wrestler. I was at Tournament of Death this year, and before Tournament of Death got started, it seemed like the body was picked up and shoveled out of there by Hoodfoot. I guess Hoodfoot had some words to say to him, or maybe more than words, some might say. But, yeah, there was a lot of controversy there this year, and I think this might be the first resurgence of the body since that sighting. So,
yeah. He was in a tournament out here too. That is some like podcast. Yeah, he was a tournament. It was called the tournament. Was called left. Was it tournament to the left or something like that? He came out and he was hiding from me. I was looking for me. He didn't want no parts of me. You know what
I mean? So how do you think things are going to go down once that final syringe lands? What do you think the fans are going to remember about it the most?
Oh man, we're like I said, I ain't gonna say too much, but you gotta beat him November 22nd. You know what I mean? It's gonna be something that you haven't seen. You know what I mean? Maybe it could be barefooted, we're shirtless. You know what I mean? We could probably throw darts at each other. Adam's apple, cheeks. Eyelids on the head, whatever it takes. We're gonna use. I just promise you this, brother. We're gonna use every single one of them. You know what I mean? Look, I'm showing you a little bit of proof of some of them, man. Look at this. This is a 100. 100. This is 100, but I have the rest over there. I have a box. So, and to be real, I'm gonna say it on your podcast. 2 boxes left to have 1,000, brother. But we have 100 right now. We have 100 and with the needle. So people say like, "Oh, I don't have a needle." Yeah, it's actually with the needle, and they're brand new. They're not like people on Deathmatch Elite or MDK say, "Oh, he's gonna find them in the gutter or in the alley." No, they're brand new.
Yeah, I don't know who does that.
I'm just saying, like they're saying on the boards, people are talking. You probably right. People
try to talk shit. Yeah,
toxic people. They're just. But then a lot of people are talking shit. But then people are saying, "I want this match to happen." You know what I mean? Because this is crazy. If it happens, it's going to be historic. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. What So, Mr. California, if you lose, does the king of the West Coast Deathmatch throne crumble?
Well, I don't know. We'll see what happens. But my money is on myself, man. You know what I mean? But we'll see if the body can eventually, crank it out. His little 110-pound ass can crunch it and beat me. Then maybe, you know what I mean?
Let the body hit the floor.
Yeah.
So, how much? Let's see here. How much of the tension between you guys is gonna bleed through it in that ring?
Oh man, like blood's probably gonna be a lot of blood, man. You know what I mean? Because the kid I seen him, he got some good color, and I know I get good color, so I mean it's probably gonna. I don't know. It's probably gonna be a murder scene, man. You know what I mean? It's like people. I don't know what's gonna happen. Well, you gotta find out. The 22nd.
And if there's any critics that think that you guys are going too far by doing this, what's your message to them?
Fuck you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, fuck yourself. You know what I mean? I care less what your opinions, but you're gonna be watching, and you're gonna be marking out for it. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of people or because they talk good or bad, but they're gonna go. You know what I mean? I've been told and been seeing that a lot of people are talking about it.
So, after all these years, does pain still scare you?
Oh man, I think I have a high tolerance of pain. You know what I mean? I can take a lot of stuff that ordinary people will say, hell no, I don't want to do that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, it's been tested with me. Like I tested it myself. Like I went to the doctors many times, and the doctor said you have a high tolerance for pain. And I said, well, how do you figure? I'm like, you do because watch, look. And I put my hand out, and I made him get a hammer and smash my hand. And I didn't feel anything, brother. When I got adrenaline, I didn't feel anything. After, yeah, but I can when I get real adrenaline I'm up. It's like a drug. I don't feel anything. You know what I mean? Like, that's why I take it to other levels sometimes. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, the adrenaline definitely lets you power through pretty much anything.
Yeah.
What's next for XWW after this landmark event with the 1,000 syringe match?
Well, after this is our next event. I have a big surprise. I ain't gonna say nothing, but I have a big surprise. I'm just telling you, the next event is in January, starting the new year, 2026, and I'm bringing someone that's gonna shake a little bit of the foundation of deathmatch scene that is international and has is making a debut out here. But you gotta find out. Like, you gotta wait and find out, brother. When the flyer drop. When the flyer drops.
Stay tuned. Yeah. I love it. I love it. What do you want deathmatch people or the deathmatch world to say about you 10 years from now, or about XWW 10 years from now?
Well, like, like me or hate me, you're like, hey man, like, I want people to say, like, oh, man, I hated that guy, but man, he was a sick fuck. You know what I mean? I gotta respect that he actually can wrestle and he can do the hybrid and do the death match. You know what I mean? So that's I want people to, like, you know what I mean, like, or maybe when I'm gone and my kids, you know what I mean? Hey man, your dad was a freaking crazy SOB. He was a legend. You know what I mean? Mr. California was somebody. Even I didn't like his ass. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying?
Hey, at least they're talking about you, right?
Right. That's it.
So, Mr. California, what I need for you is to look straight in the camera and give the body one final message before history is written in syringes.
And buy my action figure, brother. Buy my action figure. Look at that. It's a light tube on there, brother. With the light tube. An action figure. Mr. California action figure. Oh, you want me to tell him something? Okay, here we go, brother. Oh, snap. The body from Canada. I have respect for you because you've done some crazy shit, kid. But coming November 22nd, 2025, I'm going to tag you. I'm going to bag you. And I'm going to send you back to Canada and leave you in your own puddle of blood. Shit just got real.
Yeah, it did. And yeah, I appreciate you for joining us. If you have anything that like you said, you have the show coming up in January. We have the show coming up on November 22nd. Let me pull that up one more time.
Mm-hmm.
If there's anywhere that they can find you, let the people know. Of course, it's on the November 22nd. $20 for adults, it looks like $10 for children.
Yeah,
children might be a little scared when they see 1,000 syringes coming out.
Yeah, but I mean, but the whole card is normal. It's just the main event, you know what I mean? The rest of the card is normal. And I mean, go ahead.
I was just saying, you're gonna have like lucha and everything else like that during that card as well.
Yeah,
right?
I'm gonna have a taste of everything, brother. I'm gonna have American. I'm gonna have lucha libre mexicana, like CMLL. I have a CMLL superstar coming down, and Vaquero Jr. He wrestles for CMLL on a regular basis. He's coming down. I'm having a third generation wrestler in the Chivo. His father, his grandfather, they're wrestlers. You know what I mean? He's gonna be in the semi. And then we have a new kid coming up in the scene, BJ Connors. That he's trying to do hardcore and deathmatch. He's coming up in the scene. You know what I mean? So we have a little bit of everything. The main event that everybody wants to watch, it, the hardcore enforcer, Mr. California versus the Body. You know what I mean? It's going to be really bloody, real violent. And I promise you, we're going to use every single syringe on the body parts. You know what I mean?
Will that be streamed anywhere, or will that be recorded?
Well, it's gonna be recorded, and we have a professional camera guy that's gonna come down, and it's gonna be recorded, and we're gonna try to do it live on YouTube. You know what I mean? See if we can do it. Just the main event, not the whole show. Just the main event, so people can go like, "Oh my god, you know, it's actually happening." You know, so all the Def Leach marks and MDK marks, you know, like, it actually is happening. You know what I mean? And stuff like that. But it's gonna be recorded, and it's gonna be up on my YouTube channel, the Mr. California XWW YouTube channel. Maybe the next day right away. You know what I mean?
Hell yeah. Well, Mr. California and everyone that's watching, you saw it unfold here. Until next time, when 1,000 syringes decide who walks out alive, we'll see you at the bingo hall. Peace.